You know, y'all didn't know I was fixing to roll up in here with this review, but the spice must flow. So without further ado, let's get into talking about Dune. What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am, as always, the one, the only Dungeon Master Dave. Here once again to talk with you about movies. Now I know it's a little different. It's quite a bit different than our normal fare. Because you normally see me and you go, oh, horror films, right? No, I watch all kinds of films. And you're going, Dave, how is that possible? You literally watched 20 hours of horror film the other day. I don't know. I don't sleep. I find time when you guys are doing things like, I don't know, breathing and eating to do other things like explore films and think about how to think about them. But that being said, man, oh man, is this one of the first ones that got me started into my love for film, period. You know, Dune is one of my earliest childhood films. And some of you going, man, I was worried about you when you said your mom let you watch horror films at 3. But now you're telling me you grew up with Dune. And I'm telling you, yes, from the age of like 3 to 5. I knew what Dune was because me and my mother watched it. And you're going, holy crap, he watched David Lynch when he was 3. And I'm going, yeah, I'm one of you. I love horror, but I love everything else that makes it possible too. So Dune is one of those like masterpiece films in my early experience. The other masterpieces in that experience also included films like Krull. Those of you who remember the spinning magical frisbee. And yeah, it's kind of hard to act hoity-toity when those are pinnacle films that you used to think were just the best. You know, I love that little discus, and I'll never get to play a D&D game where I get to use that as the main weapon that I want to play with. But, you know, that's whatever. That's for another, you know, voyage D&D that maybe one day I'll get to do on this channel. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into talking about this film. Holy crap, this film's got me going all nostalgic because this is technically a remake. And I say that technically because I'll have to argue, and some of you are going to be like, is he going off his rocker? A little bit after seeing this film. I'm like a little giddy. I'm a little like bouncy because it's almost like this film had never been made before. Yeah. It's almost like this film had never been made before because it immediately wowed me. I mean, just from the word go, just hearing the music, getting into the experience, feeling the pace of it, feeling the weight of it, feeling the drama, feeling the emotions, feeling the tension, you know, that good tension that I wish other films would learn to use effectively. You know, tension is one of those things that's not just a purview of horror. It's ingrained in a lot of other films, and this film, oh man, does it have some tension. But it also, like me, I'm out here repping for Team Atreides like a little fanboy, like I'm freaking 4 on my mom's lap again. Because it is new life to a series that I didn't know I missed that much. And it brought me to tears to see it treated that way. And not in a bad way. Before y'all get worried, I really think this is my favorite film and my top number one as it sits right now, perfect film of 2021. This is my A++. This is highest mark for 2021. I can't go any further beyond. This is plus ultra. Okay, for those of you who know what that is, this is as far as it goes. My God, every man, woman, and child could watch this, and it would just, it's almost as iconic for me as Lord of the Rings when it first came out. Just the imagery, and I will say this for some of you who are worried because you're book fans. Oh no. If you're a book fan, you were happy to have something new, given how David Lynch treated most of what you loved. Yeah, my wife really doesn't like the David Lynch film, and granted, it has its problems, but it's a classic to me, and it's a it's one of those films I can't hate. As much as I see the problems in it now, as much as it has those glaring sort of like Lynchisms, let's not use that as a term, as a matter of fact. David Lynchisms. The things that make him iconic, the weirdness that is David Lynch's masterpiece, and his sort of flavor that he's come up. Like if Ben and Jerry's had to come up with a David Lynch flavor, you can see it in Dune. And I can tell where it has caused, I don't know, a creative rift between what I was imagining in my head and what the book had me imagine the first time I read it. And then now, this has sort of healed that rift in a very nice way, because certain questions and certain themes that David Lynch brought up, this director doesn't Rian Johnson this. He doesn't just throw out what came before. He lovingly picks it up, shines it, modernizes it, raises it to the level of where it should be. And dare I say it, the spirit of Aronofsky is dancing right now. Because this didn't feel like I got ripped off. I didn't feel like it ended at the work. You could have gave me a sip more, but again, I was thirsty. You can't give me a sip more, because now I'm thirsty for part 2, and hopefully the end. Hopefully this will be part 1 and part 2. Hopefully we're not going Aronofsky for real and 14 hours. Okay. I just want the 6-hour cut, because you got it. 6 hours and I'm down. Don't do me like Lord of the Rings. And more specifically, The Hobbit. If you do me like The Hobbit, I'm gonna beat you. I will rip this down and I will scream at you from the top of the buildings. Just give me what you gave me this time. And I say that with all confidence. If you can rise to this level and just carry this sort of stranger second half of Dune to an understandable end, if you can just do that for me, Villanova, I'll watch whatever movie you want to produce. You want to remake BVS, I will watch it. You want to remake Friends, I'm down. Okay, I will do whatever it takes to get more of you in this style, because Dave Bautista looked great. Stellan Skarsgård was amazing. Timothy Chalamet, I am now a fan. I didn't really have any kind of good experienced with you yet, and this was so impressive. I gotta remember the actress who plays Jessica. I can't remember it right now off the top of my head. It fell out. But she is amazing, and I have to say they could not have picked a better actress for Jessica. And I mean, even down to the shout out Mapes. The shout out Mapes is phenomenal, and it's so lovely to see the casting through Zendaya, through I mean even Yui gets a really good casting, and Leto's casting is good, and Thufir's casting is made me so happy to see that man as Thufir. I did not know they could have. I'm like literally verbally purring. If you heard that little trill, because the new actor, I've seen him only in a few other things. I saw him in Newsroom, and he was amazing. And I really wish they had done more with his character arc. And I really wish they hadn't stepped on it and crapped on it. That would have been a really cool character arc. But Genoa had to suck for some reason. Anyway, that's a whole other universe with a whole other set of consequences. Oh, man. To think that that's like the smallest iceberg at the edge of this film. Man. Duncan was so well done. Gurney. Please don't ever go anywhere, Josh. Josh Brolin, you stay right where you are. Jason Momoa. I hate I hate that was what we did with you, but I love that you got to be a part of this. I really have to say I'm sad because on the one hand I get it. It had to be done. But on the other hand, you took Jason Momoa from me. And for those of you, spoilers, who don't know the story of Dune, and this is really why I'm like, why do I even have to do like a spoiler section on this? This is like a movie or a book from like the 70s. Why the hell haven't people encountered this story yet? And the movie was from that old 80 something, I think. Or no, it's 70. I think it's 76 actually, because the book came out in 74, I want to say. And I think the movie was shortly after it. So don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. It may have been 10 years after it in 84, and that may be what I'm thinking of. But for the most part, it's older than me. Okay, it's way older than me. I shouldn't even know this much about it, but I do, because it's a super good story, and so much of the story is treated well. So much of the book comes back, and so much of the story is intact. So much of why they are doing what they're doing is there. So much of what's going on is intact. So much of the intergalactic politics is there. So much of the Bene Gesserit is there. So much of the Quetzalcoatl whispers and information is there. So much of the Fremen information is there. You don't got weirding modules. You have the actual weirding way from the book, which is a martial art if you didn't know. Oh man, there's so much more to the book, and this movie delivers on at least, I want to say, 95 to 98% of it. You can be the judge of whether that final 5% to 2%, 98, 2%, that 5 to 2% is actually attainable. You can make that decision yourself. I don't think it is. I think for AAA, for big money, for all-star cast, for all-star writing, for all-star director with the perfect eye to just capture a landscape and make things come to life. This is as good as you're going to get. And Aronofsky would have been proud and gone, I was wrong. You could have made this film. You just needed the technology. You needed everything to catch up, and you needed the interest to reach enough care. You needed someone with enough experience and enough care to really bring it to life and to give it enough room to be what it needed to be. And that's as much as I can talk circles around it without spoiling anything. And pardon me if I spoiled you at some little point, but hopefully you enjoyed this review. Hopefully it didn't ruin your evening or leak something that you didn't already know. For God's sakes, the book's older than I am. You should have read it by now. If I've already read it, you should have. And if you haven't, go watch this film and then go read the movie. Let's go read the book and then go watch the old movie. That was kind of how I wanted to say that. And you make up your own dang mind about which is best and which is better at showing off what the book has in store for you. And I think you'll find Villanova hits it right on the head. So make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell, ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Hopefully I'm going to be bringing you more normal movie reviews, and hopefully this will be sort of a regular occurrence, but if there's some time between them, thank you for joining me on these adventures, Dungeon Dwellers, and everybody else who comes along each and every time. I hope to see you on our next journeys, but until then, make sure the spice flows, and remember, the sleeper must awaken. Alright, so let's break back into this with some spoilers. If you're a fan of like the sort of weird David Lynchism stuff, that David Lynch flavoring that goes into this film, I would highly say just enjoy your original. If you want the weird sort of like plague kind of stuff, and you want the weird creatures and how it all sort of avant-garde-ly works, you're free to enjoy the David Lynch film by all means, but for Pete's sake, this is such a clean version, and I love where it ends. I love how we're just closing out the first third, really, of the book. And the last 2/3 work better together. I do think so. So that'll be not that far to kind of cram and reach to get to a feasible ending for a part 1, part 2 kind of close. So I really like where they ended here, because I feel like they gave everything its due weight. I mean, down to each death, down to each moment. If we're telling a galactic tale and we're supposed to fall in love with this kid and fall sort of prey to his worship in a way, you have to give it its drama, you have to give it its weight. And I really can't think of a better way to do that than this film. And I will say, small nitpicks, they could have given more time to how space folding works. And I get it. You're already pushing time as it is with how much film you gave me. Sorry if I seem ungrateful. I just mean to say that you really didn't kind of show me how that worked. And I really missed that from the old film. But it was such a small detail in the old film, I can kind of get out of your way on that. But given how Paul works, you may have to get back into that in part 2. So I'll hold you to that. I love all the stuff with the Baron. Stellan does a phenomenal job with the Baron. And I love the shields, how they all work and it all spreads out. And everything just feels better. It feels like the book. And the book, I mean, it brings the book to life in ways I didn't think I was going to need to be brought to life. With the ornithopters, oh my God, why do we not have dragonfly planes? And I'm pretty sure it's because that's some bullshit, but it would probably shake itself to pieces. But why do we not have fucking dragonfly planes? That was such a, it's by far my favorite fantasy plane now. I have thrown everything else away. I don't care. The rest of it can just go away. And you ask how many fantasy planes are there? There's enough. Okay. Oh man. It is by far just amazing, some of the vehicles that you get to see and some of the things that travel through the space. It's just unbelievable, some of the shots you get to see. And I mean it, the cinematography is breathtaking, down to the vistas, and looking out windows looks good. And I mean, you really get a sense of each place they go to, whether it be Caladan, whether it be Gidi Prime. And Gidi Prime got a lot more love in the original, I will say that. But at the same time, they made that place feel right. For the small little bit you get, it feels right. And when you see the Baron come up out of that oil, oh my God. You tell me down in the comments right now. You tell me whether that gave you chills or not. And whether that is not the most iconic thing you can think of in the last year in cinema. Because I promise you, if there are not some awards for the performances in this film, I will have a conniption. I will go full Karen. The terms have been set. Your move, Hollywood. It was like getting a package, and it's an old blanket that you loved. It smells like Christmas, and you just put it around you, and as you wrap it around, it just, you smell it, and it has that scent just one more time, and it's that just nostalgia. It's an aphrodisiac from hell. It's a horrible thing to fall in love with. But boy, do I love seeing it brought to life like this. Man, oh man, is it such a good thing to see. And Timothée Chalamet bouncing off Zendaya, bouncing off the character, the Leto, bouncing off of everybody. I need to see more of this man, and I've heard he's in a, I don't know if it's a Henry or a Richard, but it's some medieval movie with him and somebody else. I need to go look it up because now I'm interested. Timothée Chalamet. Zendaya did fantastic as always. I can't be mad at her because she was absolutely on point for Shawnee. I really love all the little subtle looks and all the little flashbacks. Although I did feel a little whomping willowed when it came to all the flashbacks, because it's like, do I really need a 14th flashback to the golden dagger and the dress and the vision and the prophecy? I get it. We're dealing in prophecy, and he's having his acid trip, and that was really good. The way they portray all of that is excellent. The time in the desert is so good. Mwah. The time on Caladan is so good. Mwah. I mean, and before you go, wait, there's time on Caladan. Yes, there's actually freaking time on Caladan. And for those of you who go, well, it's Caladan, who cares? You should care. If you're a fan of the book, you should care. Because there's a lot of crap that happens on Caladan. a lot happens on Caladan. And in this part, very little happens on Giedi Prime. That's the Harkonnen planet, for those of you who do not know. And when it comes to a planet I didn't think we were going to see, the Secundus planet, the Imperial Prison planet, and the Shadukar, I did not know we were going there. We almost got more of that than we got, actually. No. We got a little bit more Giedi Prime than we did of the Secundus planet, which is the Imperial Penal Colony where they make Sardaukar. If you didn't know, yeah, those of you wondering what the significance of each planet is, the planet where you get to see that's where they make those guys. It's an Imperial Penal Colony where they mind wipe you and make you into a perfect killing machine. That's right. Baker's dozen. Yeah. We saw 3 legions. By the end of this, I think we'll see 10 legions, according to the book. Maybe 50. I can't remember. Yeah. I'm so stoked for part 2, given this is part 1. I am so stoked for part 2, given how many people are still alive. And sadly, Duncan, I hate to see you go, but you're going to end up coming back as a Gaul, so who cares? Assuming that this movie gets a sequel and a third and a fourth, this is the start of the cinematic universe, and this is the film you'd kick it off with. I promise you. Believe it or not, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and all the way out will probably be made. Whether direct to film by the time we get to the 4th and 5th one or not, but I promise you, this is the start of this, and no way Jason Momoa signs on to this film, knows the role of Duncan Idaho, knows the larger canon of Dune in any kind of way, and knows what a goal is and how it works. Okay, there's no way in hell Jason Momoa is gone forever. I cannot accept it. And given Duncan in the book series is not gone, probably not gone either. But we'll see. We will see. There's a hope and a light. Anyways, and for a love story about the Messiah of the universe, it worked. You know, if you just look at the story on its face and how Villeneuve wants to portray it and draw it, and he makes it present, it worked as a story all on its own. So for those of you who feel like I know nothing about Dune and therefore should not, please don't think that. Please take this as the time to go, you know what, this is the most pure spice I'm going to get. I might as well get it and take it and love it and then go get the book. Because that's going to be the ultimate secret, is that this movie will get your taste going. You'll go get that book, and then the second part 2 will get you thinking about Dune Messiah. And that's going to get you to get that book, and then that book will make a movie, and that's why they got all the pretty reprints and everything else, because this is not over by a long shot, hopefully. Because you can't just come back and make part 1 and part 2 and then go, The Aristocrats, bye. That's no fun for anyone. That's no fun. Don't do that. Villanova, whatever you do, I want to see it because I'm a fan of you. And that'll have to be enough, I think, for this review. So, if you enjoyed my little slapstick and all of the other spoilers that I talked about, leave it down in the comments below and make sure you hit the like button. I really appreciate it when you do that. It really warms my heart. The black little dark star that it is fills up the little gravitational well just a little. But anyways, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell for more. Thank you for journeying with me, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope to see you on our next adventures. But until then, long live the fighters.